Hello and welcome to Beauty Will Save the World. Today I'll be reading from this book, City Lights, Poets Anthology. Is one of my favorite copies I own. It's just such a wonderful print, such a nice and pocket size book. It's Pocket Poets Anthologies, edited by Lawrence Ferlinghetti, and this is published by City Lights San Francisco. This bookstore and publishing house that was established by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. So they did this on the 60th anniversary, and it's just like the loveliest book one can own. I remember walking around with it in Glasgow, taking pictures of it in various picturesque places and rivers and bridges. And tonight I'll be reading it while overlooking the Nairobi city lights, the night skyline of Nairobi with the city lights. So very appropriate to the city lights and the anniversary, and in memory of such an important publishing house and bookstore dedicated to poetry and other revolutionary writings. So on that dark note of the dark skyline, I'm going to read a poem by Paul Celan. Before reading this poem, I totally had no idea who Paul Celan was. And earlier this week, listening to a lecture by George Steiner, this was referred to as an extraordinary fellow of Cambridge University. He was a teacher, he was a writer, he was so many things. He was a historian, he was one of the most knowledgeable men of the 20th centuries on arts, literature, and the humanities and history. So one thing that struck me is that he said that like I had not heard of Paul Celan, that most people had not heard of Paul Celan, even within the same century that he wrote in. And he put him so up there that he said it was like the finest poet in the German language after Hölderlin. And so for me, it was important for me that he mentioned Hölderlin, and I suspected myself of believing that Hölderlin was the finest poet to come out of Germany. But I never say this out loud because I'm very suspicious of various opposing sentiments. But to hear it from such a learned man and such a man whose judgment on such matters was so valued by the highest institutions, I feel really vindicated in my love for Hölderlin, and I've done a number of Hölderlin videos in this channel. So later on in the lecture, he puts in another name in between, makes it three names of writers in the German language. Let me correct that. Not necessarily German writers, but writers poets in the German language, because Rilke was born in Prague. So he in the few minutes later he mentions Rilke as well. So he puts in such a holy trinity for writers in the German language. That is Friedrich Hölderlin, Rainer Maria Rilke, and Paul Celan. And tonight I'll be reading a CELAN poem, which is the only poem by CELAN I know. And Steiner says that this is not even by far his finest. But for me, it was one of the experience of reading this poem was just really, really heart wrenching, really shattering, really impressive. The use of language and the use of imagery and the light note on such tragic matters. I was just blown away. And to know that this is not even by far his finest poem, I'm really intrigued to check out some of his work. If they're available in translation, I would definitely get that book, even if it costs so much. So this translation is done by Jerome Rothenberg. So let me read the poem, then perhaps we can talk about maybe its historical context and everything else. So, A Death Fugue by Paul Celan. Black milk of morning, we drink you at dusk time. We drink you at noontime and dawn time. We drink you at night. We drink and drink. We scoop out a grave in the sky where it's roomy to lie. There's a man in this house who cultivates snakes and who rides. Who rides when it's nightfall, night Deutschland, your golden hair Margareta. He rides it and walks from the house and the stars all start flashing. He whistles his dogs to draw near, whistles his Jews to appear, starts us scooping a grave out of sand. He commands us to play for the dance. Black milk of morning, we drink you at night, we drink you at dawn time and noontime. We drink you at dusk time, we drink and drink. There's a man in this house who cultivates snakes and who rides. Who rides when it's nightfall, night Deutschland, your golden hair Margareta, your ashen hair Shulamit. We scoop out a grave in the sky where it's roomy to lie. He calls, jab it deep in the soil, you man, you other man, sing and play. He tugs at the sword in his belt. He swings his eyes. He swings it. His eyes are blue. Jab your spades deeper, you man, you other man, play up again for the dance. Black milk of morning, we drink you at night. We drink you at noontime and dawn time. We drink you at dusk time, we drink and drink. There's a man in this house, your golden hair Margareta, your ashen hair Shulamit. He cultivates snakes. He calls, play that death thing more sweetly. Death is a gang boss aus Deutschland. He calls, creep that fiddle more darkly, then hover like smoke in the air. Then scoop out a grave in the clouds where it's roomy to lie. Black milk of morning, we drink you at night. We drink you at noontime. Death is a gang boss aus Deutschland. We drink you at dusk time and dawn time. We drink and drink. Death is a gang boss aus Deutschland. His eyes blue. He hits you with leaden bullets. His aim is true. There's a man in this house, your golden hair Margareta. He sets his dogs on our trail. He gives us a grave in the sky. He cultivates snakes and he dreams death is a gang boss aus Deutschland. Your golden hair Margareta, your ashen hair Shulamit. Well, every time I read this poem, approaching the end, the last stanza, I always get so animated. It's just so automatic, and that's what a good poem does. From the beginning, you kind of like flowing with it, trying to, have a bit of control of reading the poem, imagining that you know what's going on and understand the stylistic differences used. But right about the middle, the poem takes over. So you wonder whether am I reading the poem or is the poem reading me? So I like that about the poem. That the first time I read it, I never struggled to rationalize and think like, what does this poem mean? What is the poet saying? I mean, just experience the poem. Just read it just like standing before a huge canvas of an abstract painting. You are experiencing it. You're not questioning it. You're not trying to understand it at first. But I've read it over and over again, and some of the stylistic devices he uses, of course, like a lot of repetition, and the effect of this repetition is just so impactful. It adds so much to the darkness of the poem. Black milk of morning, we drink and drink. Death is a boss aus Deutschland, and his aim is true. And I mean, that is amazing. And if it sounds so good in translation, I wonder what it sounded like in the original, in German. Wish I could read it in the original. But it's like a song. It's like a nursery rhyme, and this is always very light-hearted songs that are meant for joy and play. And he uses this style of song in writing, the repetition, the rhythm, the cadence, to talk about such a dark subject and such a dark time in history and in his life as a Jew, and of course to other people he knew, or to other family members, or members of his extended family who must have died in this tragedy, in this atrocity that the world still grapples to understand, even though few of us or many of us have forgotten, and we are slowly rolling back on the darkness of forgetting history. And so to use a nursery rhyme, and of course in the story, it's about these Jews who are made to play instruments, probably classical musicians, who are that's why it's called a death fugue. So they're playing music, and they're being urged to make this music lively as the others are digging graves where they're going to be buried. I mean, that is really dark, and this is not just fiction. These are things that happened, and even worse, and I see this pattern over and over again, online and in the news of the world. The effect of a people who have forgotten these atrocities, and how the human beings can be so cruel to one another. And it's like you get this sort of dread that that somehow history tends to repeat itself. But somebody does something wrong in the past, doesn't justify any wrong that others do now. And as much as we vilify the wrong that is done right now and we condemn it, we still condemn the wrong of the past. And so two wrongs do not make a right. And how the tables turn, that sometimes these same people who are turning their back on their brothers and being cruel to them and treating them differently because of maybe how they look like or where they come from, who are once the same heroes who are fighting this dark power, that were killing others and vilifying others for where they come from or from what their race and from what they look like. And that's why mostly as an artist and as a poet, it's always good to know the history. And I don't know who said this, but I've always liked this definition of poetry as the history of the human heart. So if you're going to be a keeper of that history of the human heart, to continue this tradition, and you have to also know the history of the human life, of the human person, of human relation, so that the suffering and the pain of people many years ago shouldn't be so far removed from ours, because there's just some years between us, that we are not different. And despite other people feeling like we are the center of history, or we are the center of the world, and we have done way better than the people who came before us. We might have done better in terms of technology, in terms of medicine, in terms of material advancement, but the human heart remains the same. And the pain of CELAN and the pain of other people who have suffered various atrocities should not be alien to us. Not at all. And this is what we learn. And Paul CELAN, as a wonderful artist that he is, tries to he envelops this message in such a sing-song manner that paradox kind of hits you, and makes you reflect on how artists have survived dark times and always try to even still squeeze in some creativity out of it that would give us repose, would give us pleasure, even if it is so much laced with so much pain in reading them. And that is the reality of the world anyway. That is the reality of the world, that as much as there's so much joy in the world, there's also so much pain. And we have to appreciate both. But the modern world wants to sweep the pain under the rag and forget about it, and only promises joy, the dream of the future, the joy, everything will be easy. But that's not it. Excellent things are difficult. So like Paul CELAN, let us learn to embrace both the light and the darkness, for the light would make the darkness a bit more endurable. So I'll sign out by reading again the Death Fugue by Paul CELAN. Black milk of morning, we drink you at dusk time. We drink you at noontime and dawn time. We drink you at night. We drink and drink. We scoop out a grave in the sky where it's roomy to lie. There is a man in this house who cultivates snakes and who writes when it's nightfall, nach Deutschland, your golden hair Margareta. He writes it and walks from the house, and the stars all starts flashing. He whistles his dogs to draw near, whistles his Jews to appear, starts us scooping a grave out of sand. He commands us play up for the dance. Black milk of morning, we drink you at night. We drink you at dawn time and noontime. We drink you at dusk time. We drink and drink. There's a man in this house who cultivates snakes and who writes when it's nightfall, nach Deutschland, your golden hair Margareta, your ashen hair Shulamit. We scoop out a grave in the sky where it's roomy to lie. He calls, jab it deep in the soil, you man, you other man, sing and play. He tugs at the sword in his belt, he swings it, his eyes are blue. Jab your spades deeper, you men, You are the man, play up again for the dance. Black milk of morning, we drink you at night. We drink you at noontime and dawn time. We drink you at dusk time. We drink and drink. There's a man in this house, your golden hair Margareta, your ashen hair Shulamit. He cultivates snakes. He calls, play that death thing more sweetly. Death is a gang boss aus Deutschland. He calls, scrape that fatal more darkly, then hoover like a smoke in the air, then scoop out a grave in the clouds where it's roomy to lie. Black milk of morning, we drink you at night, we drink you at noontime. Death is a gang boss aus Deutschland. We drink you at dusk time and dawn time, we drink and drink. Death is a gang boss aus Deutschland. His eye is blue, he hits you with leaden bullets, his aim is true. There's a man in this house, your golden hair Margareta. He sets his dogs on your trail. He gives us a grave in the sky. He cultivates the snakes and he dreams death is a gang boss aus Deutschland. Your golden hair Margareta, your ashen hair Shulamit. Thank you for dropping by. City Lights Poets, Pocket Poets Anthology. Edited by Lawrence Filinghetti. Bye, like and subscribe. Beauty will save the world.